Summer Sweetheart, Chapter 29. Alisa has been silly and ugly in the Hunt's family for so many years, and the people in the Adams family has been completely paralyzed by her stupid appearance. But a 100-year-old family like the Adams family is extremely shrewd, even it is a servant, let alone the cousins of Carl and Luther. She couldn't fool them by acting stupid, so she didn't intend to pretend to be stupid from the beginning. Therefore, as soon as she walked out of the Hunt's family's door, she would no longer cover up. Carl turned his head. The expression of relief on her face naturally did not escape his eyes. She seems very afraid of getting involved with Luther. Although he knew that she hated his cousin Luther, he fabricated, but he was still a little irritable inexplicably. Squeak! The car braked sharply and the tires rubbed the ground with a harsh sound. Alisa leaned forward reflexively and then bounced back in onto the chair. She suppressed her anger, turned her head in the embarrassment and looked at Luther. "What are you doing?" Carl said with a calm expression, hands slippery. "You?" His insincere explanation made Alisa speechless. What can she say besides enduring such a young master who can't afford it? A smile flashed across Carl's eyes as he looked at the little face she was holding back. Alisa felt that she and Luther must have failed to deal with each other, and it would be not good to meet him, and she strengthened her thoughts of staying away from him. The car stopped in front of Carl's villa. Alisa left a thank you, opened the door, and ran towards the villa. She asked the bodyguard standing at the door, "Is master there?" She dared to go back to Hunt's house and retreated with confidence, but Carl had the heart to let Luther pick her up, and she was still full of gratitude. The bodyguard glanced at Carl, who was following up with the car key, and said without seriousness, "Master went out to the errands and he has not returned." So Alisa paused and said, "Then if he comes back, you can tell me." She wanted to thank Carl in person. The bodyguard respectfully said, "Yes, of course." Carl walked up and stared at Alisa's bag, but he said to the bodyguard, "What did she say?" "Madam asked the young master if you are at home, and when you come back, let her know." The bodyguard confessed honestly. Alisa returned to her room and looked into her mailbox to see if there was an interview invitation. However, a few small companies have issued interview invitations. After she went to university, she never asked her family for money. She just graduated this year and her salary is not high, just enough to support herself. She married into the Adams family, and the Adams family must have given a lot of benefits, but she didn't see anything. And because of her marriage, she lost her job. She is now very short of money and desperately needs a job. She took a cursory look at the companies that offered invitations. The specifications were not big, but for a young newcomer who had just graduated, it was not bad, so she planned to go for interviews. Turning off the computer, she walked out of the room and went to the stairway. She looked into the hall and found that there was still no one in the hall. She didn't hear the sound of car just now, and Carl probably still hadn't come back. She had to go back to the room and wait. When night fell, Carl did not return. Alisa thought about it and went to the kitchen. Carl should come back for dinner, right? She cooked the meal to thank him. Since she moved into the present, there are a few bodyguards who come and go in the villa. He eats very few times in the villa. Does Carl usually eat with these bodyguards? Carl was really a weird man. He didn't even invite servants. Sure enough, as soon as she entered the kitchen, a bodyguard walked in. "Is the madam hungry? Let's cook what she wants." "I'll make it for your young master. It's okay, I'll do it myself." Alisa opened the refrigerator while talking. When the bodyguard heard this, he didn't force it. "Just tell us if you need anything." Alisa smiled at him. "Okay." The ingredients in the refrigerator are very complete, all kinds of red meat and white meat, vegetables and melons, what one wants. She didn't know exactly what kind of food Carl liked to eat. She was about to go out to ask her bodyguard when she heard a deep male voice behind her. "Stewed beef, vegetarian food, a little more chili and less oil." When Elisa turned her head fiercely, she saw Luther, not knowing when he had already stood behind her. He changed into his dark home clothes, put his hands into the pockets of his trousers, and stood there with his long body. Even if he didn't say anything, it was hard to ignore. He looked down at Elisa and added, "Oh, add another steamed egg. This one doesn't need chili. This is the time to order." Does he treat her as a waiter in the restaurant? He was about to leave when he finished speaking. Elisa quickly grabbed him and asked, "What kind of food does your cousin like to eat?" Carl stopped, so he looked back at her in time. "He likes everything," I said. "Really?" She felt that these were all Luther liked to eat. Carl squinted his eyes slightly, stretched out his hand to cover the top of her hair, and slid his palm down, supporting her back of her head and forcing her to look at him. He matched her height and leaned over to look at her. There was no expression on his handsome face. "Do you think I need to lie to you for a meal?" The faces of the two were very close, and when he spoke, the heat he exhaled sprinkled on her face, making her face hot. She could clearly see that her face was reflected in his pitch black eyes. She didn't feel much about her face before, but now she looks really ugly and stupid. She suddenly felt that Luther was quite able to bear it, and a rich young master like him, who was used to seeing a beautiful woman, could even kiss her face. Carl saw her staring at himself with a dull expression on his face, stroking sensationally, "Looking at me like this. You want to get rid of that waste person forever." His fingers were slightly cold, but they seemed to be carrying an electric current which made her shudder involuntarily. Elisa came back to her senses suddenly and violently pushed away Luther. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Carl was unprepared and was pushed back by her 2 steps to stabilize his figure. But he was not embarrassed at all, and his face was as calm as a okay person. "Believe me, that is Carl's favorite dish. Besides, I have dinner tonight." He threw a meaningful look at her and slowly walked out of the kitchen. As soon as his figure disappeared, Elisa stretched out her hand to support the refrigerator door with lingering fear, panting to stabilize her figure. She trembling stretched out her hand to touch her neck, and as soon as she touched it, she retracted her hand like an electric shock. After calming down, Elisa was able to determine that Luther had just deliberately teased her. Chapter 30. She ran to the bathroom and looked at her ugly face in the mirror. She couldn't figure out why Luther tried to tease her again and again. She hasn't heard of it. In the upper class circles, there are some people who are very strange. Is it really because she is his cousin, so there is too taboo stimulation? As soon as this thought came up, she felt a chill in her back. When meeting Luther for the first time, she only thought that Luther was a dude. However, the incident of his gunshot wound completely changed her view of him. He looks handsome, has a very good family background, and has extraordinary perseverance. With these alone, she can be sure that he is definitely not a simple character. And this not so simple man always come to tease her. This in the end is why. Because there was something in her heart, or Elisa was a little absent-minded in cooking. After wasting 2 pieces of beef, she recovered her mind. She still intended to believe Luther once and cook the dishes he said. As soon as she prepared the dishes, she heard the sound of car engine coming from the gate. Did Carl return? Can she see him now when she goes out? Thinking of this, she was a little nervous. When she took off her apron and went out, she found that Smith was alone. He walked into the hall holding a cardboard box, and when he saw Elisa, he was stunned for a moment, then slightly nodded and said respectfully, "Madam." Elisa nodded and asked him, "Carl is back?" Young master has already gone upstairs. After so many days, Smith was able to help Carl lie without changing his face. Elisa was little surprised but didn't think too much. "He hasn't eaten yet. I just made dinner." Smith was a wise man and naturally understood the meaning of Elisa's words. "I'm going to deliver the documents to the young master now, and I asked him whether he would come downstairs to eat or send the food up." "Thank you." Smith went to Carl's study with a box of documents. Carl was on the phone. Hearing the door pushing behind him, he didn't need to look back to know that it was Smith. When Carl finished the phone call, Smith had already taken out all the documents in the cardboard box and placed them neatly on the desk. Seeing that Smith hadn't left yet, he asked aloud, "Is there anything else?" Madam said that she cooked for you. When Carl heard this, he didn't answer immediately. He twisted his fingers inexplicably and said faintly, "Oh, I see." Smith felt that since the young lady got married, the young master became even more weird. Alisa waited from the left to the right but came down at night when she was not seen. She was about to go upstairs only to see Luther sitting upstairs and walking down slowly. Alisa looked at him vigilantly and took 2 steps back with a defensive look. She couldn't help but ask, "Didn't you say that there is dinner in the evening?" "Yeah," Carl replied and walked directly in front of her towards the restaurant. There were a few well-presented dishes on the table in addition to the 3 dishes he mentioned before. Alisa also made a spicy chicken. Alisa frowned and followed. "Then why are you still not leaving?" "Did I say that I want to go?" Carl sat down at the dinner table and glanced at Alisa calmly. However, Alisa felt he was proud. Carl didn't eat much at lunch that noon. He was already hungry, so he picked up his chopsticks and started eating. Alisa walked over to grab the chopsticks in his hands. "This is not for you." Carl, who had guessed that she would come to grab the chopsticks a long time ago, made her pounce empty with his long arms. Her center of gravity was unstable and she went straight forward. She subconsciously stretched out her hand to protect her face and head, and when she fell steadily into a solid embrace, the voice of Luther, urging narrowly, sounded from above. "Cousin is still at home. You just love me like this sending off. Do you want our brothers to turn back?" Alisa let go of her hands covering her face and head, and when she opened her eyes, she met Luther's smiley face. Luther was still sitting on the chair in front of the dining table at this time. While Alisa was sitting on his lap, her whole body was in his arms. The two postures are too intimate if someone sees. Alisa's complexion changed in fright, struggling to get up, but at this moment she entered the restaurant. "Master," said he, when Smith saw the situation in the dining room. A look of surprise flashed across his serious face, but his good adaptability helped him quickly return to his normal look. "Master said he is not hungry." Then he turned around and quickly slipped away. What did he see? The young master and the young lady are in the dining room. No, the young master's current identity is Luther as the young master. As the young master's subordinate was his reaction too calm just now. Does he want to go back again? Forget it. He didn't dare to go back and disturb the good things of the young master. However, the young master's taste is quite heavy. In the restaurant, Alisa watched when Smith came in and went out. Her whole body was dazed. Carl watched her face change back and forth, and a flash of interest flashed under his eyes and quickly disappeared. He slowed down and said slowly, "Do you think Smith will tell my cousin about us?" Alisa directly refuted him. "We have done nothing." She struggled to get up, but Carl didn't let go. He looked like he didn't exert much effort, but she couldn't get away no matter how much she made the attempt. She was angry and anxious, her ears red. "Luther, you are too much." Carl noticed that her ears were red, but there was no change in his face. He lowered his head slightly differently and saw that her face seemed to be covered with something. He narrowed his eyes and wiped her face with his finger. The spot he wiped happened to be the spot on her face. When he raised his hand, he found that the spot on her face that he wiped, not only the spots disappeared, but even the small piece of skin became white. How is this going? Alisa took advantage of his preoccupied space, slammed away from him, left his embrace and stood aside with her face covered in horror. With his arms empty, Carl backed to his senses. He looked down at his finger, a waxy powdery substance stuck to his fingertips. His eyes, which were already pitch black as ink, became deeper and became extremely sharp. He slowly got up and walked towards Alisa. He walked very slowly, and every step made Alisa's heart tremble. And when he took one step, she backed away a little, until she retreated to the wall and couldn't retreat. The man put his finger in front of her and his voice was terribly low. "What is this?" Because of guilty conscience, Alisa couldn't help raising the volume. "Do you know what cosmetics women use?" Carl would naturally not give up. His sharp gaze seemed to have seen her through, and he sneered and said, "Do women like to put on such dark things as makeup?"